Hey, let's watch some anime, shall we? So I very much enjoyed the first episode of "'Tis Time for Torture Princess." As I said in the intro to that particular reaction watch along thing, it's a manga that I read for quite a while, and I very much enjoyed. Like I caught up with it, and then like I forgot to check in on it as new chapters were coming out. But like what I read of it, I really enjoyed because it is one of those gag manga that actually like has a core of something, like a core of something real beneath. It's not just gags for gags' sakes. It's gags that sort of come from a real place and speak to like a real emotional need in the audience, and I quite appreciate that. And the first episode sort of like it dove into those things a little bit. It gave us a little bit of a taste of like what is it that actually is about underneath the gag that the princess can't resist the simple pleasures in life. Well, it's because she's lived her entire life without any access to a real childhood, any access to softness and kindness and being allowed to show weakness. And so like the tortures that are selected for her work on her because those are the only things. Like she can resist any pain, any suffering, but she cannot resist the allure of a really nice piece of toast because she's never been allowed that in her life. Which is like, okay, like so it speaks to like the stress and the difficulty of maintaining a public persona, of maintaining like an outwards like propriety, when what most human beings actually want is to be soft and vulnerable and to like be gentle with ourselves. So that's cool. And I'm wondering if there's enough to talk about in successive episodes to warrant doing a watch-along like this. But anyway, if you haven't been along to one of these watch-alongs, the way it works is there's a timestamp in the top left corner of the screen. And it's there because I can't show you footage from an anime on the screen because they'll be killed by pirates, probably. Like some pirates will they've been hired, like privateers hired by the East India Trading Company, and they'll arrive through a time portal and they'll bash down my door like, "Yarr, who be watching anime without a license?" Yeah, and then they'll kill me. Probably something like that. I've heard of this happening to other YouTubers. I'm pretty sure that's why Tom Scott isn't posting anymore. So there's a timestamp. What the fuck am I talking about? There's a timestamp in the top left corner. And I'm going to say something like 3, 2, 1, play. And then we're going to play. And then as you try and keep in sync with me, and as I see stuff that I want to react to or talk about, I'm going, oh, okay, that's cool. It's like, and then sometimes when I have a little bit more to say, I'm going to say 3, 2, 1, pause. And then we both pause at the same time. And then I blabber on about whichever thing it is that I wish to blabber on about. And once I'm done doing that, then I say 3, 2, 1, unpause, and then we continue. And we're just going to sit here and we're going to watch the anime together, but then very occasionally an annoying man with ADHD is going to make you pause and listen to him talk about something about the anime that he's looking at. That's how this works. If you want to do that, come along with me, because I'm about to say 3, 2, 1, play. Recycling some Sakuga from the first episode. I don't think they ever talk about like what the war is even about. It's just one of those generic fantasy wars between humans and demons. Once again, I'm still on this thing of the intro is like, maybe don't draw attention to the fact that people are fighting and dying like in her absence. It's one of those things of like, part of the suspension of disbelief is that it's like, it's fine if she gives into the torture. Like, nothing happens, right? Like, that's part of the joke with the Demon King, that no matter what information is extracted from her, he never does anything with it, right? Like, so there's no consequences for her giving in and spilling the secrets of the Imperial Army, right? That's part of the joke. That's part of the suspension of disbelief, where you can just kind of go, it doesn't matter. Like, the stakes are low. Don't worry about it. And I'm still a little bit like, maybe don't remind everybody about the whole people are fighting and dying while she's sitting there eating toast and having wholesome family time with the enemy. It doesn't matter. Like, it's not a big deal. But, like, she does murder like, those lovely, cool, fun demon characters. Like, she's probably killed some people that they know. Like, and that's something I think the manga maybe does a better job of, like, not ever drawing attention to in that same way. But this is also just me being, like, too much of a stickler. Like, too much of a... Just shut up and suspend your disbelief for the premise. Some people are going to have gender about those two. Colors bleed into a spiral of... Oh, no, wait. Oh, no, wait. They were actually doing that. Wait, they're fucking... It's literally doing Smash. Oh, my God. I didn't know. I didn't remember. It literally is fucking Smash Bros. I love the animation on the sword. Oh, interesting. Three, two, one, pause. Little tiny animation note from me. It's like, in the first episode, I talked kind of extensively about how I really love the way they animate the sword. Like, because he's supposed to be the straight man. He's supposed to be the one who has, like, the reaction, like, oh my God damn it, princess. Like, why are you giving... He's supposed to be the character who sort of expresses that part of the comedy routine. And so what they do when they animate him is they animate him very straight, right? Like, they really don't cartoonify him very much. He is literally just a static object, like, that maintains his proportions and, like, very rarely breaks or goes off model, except in that little scene there, like, when he was swinging around. It's a little bit of squash and stretch, a little bit of smearing, a little bit of model breaking that happened. I spotted that animation. It's not a criticism. It's just I'm having fun spotting things in the animation. 3, 2, 1, unpause. Switch controller. Which is, like, Okay, 3, 2, 1, pause. Returning to that central theme, right? It's like, and I'm Mr. Themes guy. I am Mr. Guy who reads way too deeply into everything, including the silly comedy stuff. But what's being expressed here is like this thing of like, if you build a society only on the exemplars, right? Like if you build a world only made of exemplars and exemplary behavior, upstanding behavior, like that is ascetic, that eschews all forms of pleasure, that like, so what you create is an incomplete person, right? Like what you actually make is not, you don't make the greatest warriors, you don't make like the most resistant, but you make deficient people. Like you make people who are deeply lacking fundamental things in their lives, right? Like that's the thing that's being expressed here. That's the core of the comedy, is that we kind of understand, oh yeah, no, actually that's a bad idea. People shouldn't live lives of quiet desperation. People shouldn't live like in this permanent pressure cooker state to live up to a perfected ideal. People should be allowed to live imperfectly and to like embrace their hedonism and shit. Like, and if we don't allow people that, then you get people who have all these wounds and all these empty holes in their hearts. Like that's the source of the comedy, and that's what I really like about this show, is that it has silly dumb comedy. It's making fun of a bunch of like RPG game tropes and shit like that, but it has that thing at the center. It is animated fundamentally by empathy. Right, by empathy. This is the thing I also liked so much about, like the Sleepy Princess and the cast, like Princess Sleepy Time Castle, the one with the princess who's captured. The same basic premise, right? Like princess is captured by the demon lord, but her thing is about like she goes around, she wants to have a really nice night's sleep because she's lazy. That one too, like they're animated by a deep empathy for a kind of misery and a kind of anxiety and a kind of sense of lack and loss, which is real to a lot of people. Like, because a lot of people have been like I know people who've been that kind of overachieving kid who did everything they were supposed to, and then once like they finished school or whatever and they got dropped out into the real world, or even sometimes long before that, like I was classmates with some of those people in university, they had no fucking idea how to be anything other than like the thing that they'd been driven to be their entire life. Like, so like it's a real thing. That's why I like it. It's like I recognize in small ways something real in this comedy shit. Anyway, 3, 2, 1, unpause. Lovely excuse using the game as just a like, hey, let's do a little bit of battle Sakuga shit. Like, not I heard that sound effect. Like, not the most intense Sakuga in the world, but like some solid Sakuga, right? Oh, she's trying to be tsundere. You've had a smartphone this whole time? The sword again. Good. Hey, we finally get to see him. Or rather, we finally get to hear him talk, I think. I love him so much. He's so good. You'll see. Again, maybe don't remind us that that the characters here are fucking murderers. Like, she just came back after torturing a village to death. Cool. Yeah. Mm. Okay, that would work on me. I cannot deny my cats a fucking treat, like, when they meow at me. Yeah, right? I fucking... Yeah. You haven't heard my cats meow when I have food and they don't have food? You haven't heard what that sounds like. It's irresistible. One of my cats got into the shower while I was in the shower and got very wet and got very upset by that, and I had to wipe her down and towel her, and she was meowing at me like, meow. And I felt so bad. Ah, Saitama okay. Oh, okay, so they were fucking with me specifically there. Fair enough. They're so gentle with her. It's so nice. Oh my god, I want to go to a hot spring so bad. I just need to sit for like an hour and boil. Spelling out the themes for me there. 2, 1. There we go. When is it my turn to be happy? But it isn't. What's interesting is that it isn't sexualized at all, which is nice. Like that would have felt a little. Okay, well, face and cleavage, maybe that's not entirely unsexualized, but it's like it doesn't feel pervy, right? And it goes back again to that theme of like being unfulfilled and having holes in your heart from like a life of deprivation, emotional and physical. I mean, this is definitely someone's kink, I'm sure. Oh my fucking god, I want to go to a spa. My back hurts so fucking bad. Sometimes.
uh,
Ah, yes. When your friend doesn't appreciate your hyperfixation the same way that you want them to. Not too much to say about that last gag, since this is the nature of the gag, right? It's that it's repetitive in many different forms, which is the thing that makes me wonder whether I'm going to continue to have anything to say about the series. I did like the way that it was framed, though, the way that the animation was handled, like the various sort of, because they were using canned animation, right? When every time she threw one into her mouth, it was the same recycled animation over and over and over again, and they used that very well because that was the point, right? Like that she is casually just chewing through these things without appreciating them, without caring for them, without like giving them the attention and importance that they have to the princess. So that's like good use of recycled animation, right? Like that's one of the ways that like, you can cut a corner and it supports what you're doing, right? It supports the comedy, it supports the gag that they're trying to set up. And that was quite well done, I thought. And also it was nice, like with this fucking Smash Bros moment, they fucking got me with that one. Because like, of course it's an intentional reference. Like, what do you think, you dumb dumb? Um, I do like this. Like, this is comfort food anime for me. Oh, right, him, yes. I remember him. Ah. good anime. Comfort food. Comfort food. And I do wonder, like, in terms of, like, where they're gonna put... Because, like, talked about this, right? Like, first episode, throw a bunch of Sakuga in there to catch attention. Like, it's an attention grab as a sizzle reel, right? So, and then, from there on, because it's a gag anime, because it's a silly comedy thing, it's like, do you, like, where else do you want to put the Sakuga? Like, there's not a lot of places where it's needed, because especially with gag animation... In a lot of places, it's kind of not needed to have like Sakuga high quality, like, and yet there are things like there are little moments and places where I really do think they have like quiet little Sakuga moments, like the way the sword is animated, for example. Like there's a lot because it's a sword, right? Like he can't really move, he can't really emote, so it's. I like that they're finding like a variety of ways to express his emotion or like to give him expression and feeling. That's quite well done, and I'm curious, like, whether they can keep that up, necessarily. And there was also, like, in terms of Sakuga, like, in the axe execution scene with the snacks, like, a lot of what Totoro was doing, like, that was really well animated. Like, again, not in a Sakuga, you're gonna see this on Sakuga Boro kind of way, but in a way of, like, this is just well-paced, well-handled conventional animation, which, like, yeah, like, if you don't have... Which was the point I was trying to get to, my ADHD brain coming around to at some point, which is the point I was trying to get to with the talk about, like, Sakuga. Like, you have Sakuga in the first episode, and then typically you'll sort of save up your budget and you'll have a big blowout in the final episode to sort of get people hyped to tune in for the next season, one hopes, right? But if you don't really need to have a big Sakuga moment in the final episode, which this anime probably doesn't need to have... then maybe you can spread that animation budget out a little bit more smoothly across the whole season and get like a higher baseline of quality. Maybe. I don't know exactly how this anime was produced, but maybe. Could be curious. Anyway, anime. I enjoy it. It's fun to watch it, and I like watching it with you. Sort of, kind of. I mean, I like blabbering on into the empty air about anime, and then hopefully someone else at some later point in time will enjoy it. So if you did... way cool. But otherwise, bye, I guess.